Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Gamer. Today we're doing a top 5 board game review and or top 5 list with my buddy John here.
Hi, I'm John. I'm currently a student and I really enjoy playing board games.
Yep. So without further ado, go ahead and check us out at unfilteredgamer.com and we'll go ahead and get started now with his top 5 favorite recommended games.
The first game we're going to start with today is Sheriff of Nottingham.
Number 5.
Which is number 5 on my list. I really enjoy this game. It is a great game for small groups. I think it's 3 is the minimum, I think. But it's usually best with at least 4. And usually the full complement of people at 5 is the best.
I would agree. I think that 5 is probably the best. And I like the components a lot too.
Yeah, the mechanic with the bags and the fact that they give you the nice suede bags in it is a really good addition to the game.
So this game is made by Arcane Wonders, and it's a Dice Tower Essential game, meaning that the Dice Tower with Tom Vassell, Z Garcia, and Sam Healy chose this game to be one of their more essential games for board gamers. And I agree, on a lot of their top 5 lists, they also have this game, or top 10 lists, I should say. The game comes with, a lot of player boards, a great variety of cards, some nice thick currency,
yep,
and some baggies. So, what's this game like? What do we do here?
One person is playing the Sheriff of Nottingham, hence the game name, and they are inspecting people's goods. Everybody else is trying to take their goods to market, and some of their goods might not be legal in the town, and they might be trying to smuggle those in. The sheriff gets the option of checking what's in somebody's bag or not checking what's in somebody's bag. And if the sheriff checks, then they look at the bag, and anything that the person said was in the bag, they get a keep. But anything that wasn't said or is one of the contraband or illegal cards...
These little red guys here.
The sheriff then puts into the discard pile and gets a fine based on how much that card is worth.
And every card's worth more, and usually contraband, the red cards, which is why you kind of get in trouble for bringing them across the border if you get caught, you get more for them. At the end of the game, you also get a bonus for the amount of bread, apples, cheese, and chickens you get throughout your stacks of cards. So whoever has the most cheese gets a bonus, whoever has the most apples, and so on and so forth. Also, don't forget that you may choose to bribe the sheriff so that he doesn't look at your bag.
Yeah.
And so when you're going through the game and the sheriff is saying, should I check your bag or not? And you say, ooh, I don't think you need to check my bag because I'm going to give you some money. You can offer him a couple coins for your re-election campaign or your butter churning competition that you're going to be holding in the next season or this season or whatever. And, they might want to decide to take that bribe. I mean, a donation. So that way they can avoid suffering the penalties, potentially, for stealing lost goods. You can also bribe, even when you have legitimate goods in your bag, to make the sheriff think that you're actually bringing over illegal goods when you're really not. So, yeah.
And the complications with the bribing and the lying about what's potentially in your bag is one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite games to play.
Yeah, I would definitely rank this game in at least my top 20 or 30 games for sure. Very exciting. You even get a little bit of role playing in this game when you're just playing. Even without the idea of role playing involved in this game, because it's not really a role playing game, you'll still be pestering the sheriff or begging the sheriff or saying, oh, this person doesn't actually want you to donate for their butter churning convention or their re-election campaign. They're actually trying to bamboozle you. You should definitely check their bag. But don't check my bag. I'm the good person, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, top 5 Sheriff of Nottingham. Yeah?
Yep.
Cool. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our next game. Number 4.
My number 4 game is a game called Small World by Days of Wonder. It's what I describe it as is it's Risk-like. basically everything that you have in the game Risk, with all of the area control and trying to take over other people's territory. You get that. Plus, you get rich, flavorful fantasy characters and classes.
Ooh, and nice boards, too. These boards are beautiful looking.
Yeah. Another thing I really enjoy about this game is there are races as opposed to Risk and all of that.
Well, Risk is just 3 different types of guys and everybody gets the same type of guy, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of games that have that same concept behind it that just feel kind of boring and like Risk, and I don't like to play those.
I don't blame you. There's a lot of great pieces in this game. There's tons of components, and they're all really thick quality, too.
Yeah, even the base game, which is what we have here, is very good component quality. What I wish I could afford is the deluxe edition, which has everything done in wood with 3-dimensional things for everything. But
this is also a game by Days of Wonder, by the way.
yes, this is Days of
Are
Wonder.
you a Days of Wonder fan?
I can't say they're my favorite company, but I have liked a lot of the games that they have produced.
Yeah, so when you go about selecting races and classes and all that, you kind of put these guys together, and you can form like a forest sorcerers and maybe heroic elves and that kind of stuff. And they're worth certain amounts of currency as you go through, and if you don't pick those, they
become more valuable to the other people to pick.
Right, right. And so, kind of like Risk in the sense of you are doing a territory control game, it's an area control style of a game, but in a different sense is that every single one of your components is going to be different than your races and so on and so forth. They're going to be different than in Risk, where you're just kind of rolling dice and praying for 6s. Because in Risk, that's the main downfall, is you just kind of roll dice, and you roll well, then you do well. You don't roll well, then you don't do well. In this, you kind of have that. You get more of a strategy option in this game, right? You can kind of strategize.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe I should make a forest sorcerers, or maybe I should make the underworld Amazons, because that will beat out the heroic elves. So yeah. How many players is this game?
With the base game, you can take it up to 5, but there's an expansion that lets it go to 6 players.
Yeah, I never played the expansion, so I couldn't tell you.
The expansion's interesting for this game as well. I've played it myself, but I do not own it. It makes one player a bad guy, basically, and gives them a slightly more powerful unit type, but they get picked on by everybody else because they're the bad guy.
Well, in this game, too, it's different boards for a different amount of players. If you're playing a 2-player game, it's going to be the smaller board, and if you're playing the higher amount of players, you get the bigger boards.
Yep.
Right? There's double-sided, too, depending on the players, right?
Yep.
That's kind of interesting, too. Is it fairly balanced? I mean, I've only played this game a couple times, so I can't really give a great review on it. I think it's a fun game. I enjoy it, but I think I only played it twice at like 2 and 5 players or something.
Well, we gotta get you to play more.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's balanced for the most part. There are a few things that could be overpowered, but they crop up so rarely.
Yeah, they're going to cost you too, usually.
Well, they're going to cost you unless you get extremely lucky at the beginning of the game.
Which is still better compared to Risk, where Risk is just complete luck, right?
Yeah, it's way better than Risk, where you have to get lucky on everything.
2 to 5 players, yeah.
There's also no dice rolling involved in this game, which is another good point about it. I mean, I like rolling dice, but with a area control game, to be able to consistently get where I'm going, as opposed to having to roll a die and rolling a 1 every time that I want to move a space, it's quite nice.
Yeah, I also like how you feel like you're moving off of the ship onto the land every time, because you can't just place wherever you want. Usually, you have to actually move onto the continent itself, right, from a certain area of the board, which makes you feel like you're invading. And then everybody else can strategize based on those movements. You know, like, these are the classes he can choose, and this is how I can defend myself, and that kind of stuff. And all of your guys will die eventually. They will eventually. You are gonna lose your dudes periodically, so you're not gonna just get lucky and keep rolling 6s. So there's no dice in this. Well, there's die in this game. There's 1 die, right?
There's 1 die, but it's only when you're attacking, and it's only occasionally useful.
Yeah. So usually it's more of a majority style.
It's
fighting.
You have more guys than your opponent. You take that space.
Right. So a good game.
Very good game. One of my top 5 games, as a matter of fact.
No idea where I'd rank this, but I really do think this is a good game. For the few times I've played it, mainly just because our play group doesn't really get around to it, this is definitely an interesting game for sure, and it's a Risk killer. This game kills Risk. If you play Risk still, I don't know about Risk Legacy, but Risk itself and a lot of its counterparts, Risk Godstorm and Risk Lord of the Rings, that kind of stuff. This is just so much better. It's just so much cleaner. So yeah, number 4, Small World. Number 3.
Yep. My number 3 game is actually technically 2 games that are very similar to each other. The Resistance and Avalon. Avalon came out after the Resistance and had more expansions or more content to it, but the Resistance added that content in expansions, so they're pretty much equal. In our group, Resistance gets played a little bit more often, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is also a game by Indie Board and Cards, right? And it's what is it? 5 to 10 players? 5 to 10 players, I believe. You can go check the box real quick here. Looking like a newbie. 5 to 10 players. Yeah, it roughly plays what, half an hour or so. And there's a lot of cards here because we have a lot of the expansions and a lot of tokens. But basically the game is kind of like a trader style kind of game. You have a bunch of traders and you're trying to figure out who's who and taking people on missions. Explain that a little bit.
So at the beginning of the game, everyone gets a card. You're either part of the Resistance or an industrial spy trying to take down the Resistance. At the beginning of the game, you play a little game, everyone shuts their eyes, and if you're a spy, you open your eyes and find out who the spies are. There are always less spies than there are...
It's like Heads Up 7-Up, kind of, right?
Yeah, I guess you could call it that.
Yeah, Heads Up 7-Up. Werewolf, too. Werewolf is another style.
Yeah.
Right.
So there are always less spies than there are good guys. Well, the Resistance, technically.
Yeah.
And you're on teams. The way the game plays out is there are 5 rounds, and each team is trying to win 3 out of the 5 rounds. To win a round, you get past a set of cards for each person that is playing that round, and those cards are pass or fail. If all of the cards are a pass card,
the mission succeeds.
The mission succeeds. If one of the cards is a fail card, the mission fails.
So they only need to get one spy onto the team for that mission to fail. But the spies can choose success or fail on their mission to make maybe it's early in the game on maybe the first round of the game, and they're going to try and pretend to be good guys, so they're going to go ahead and put success on. But later on, as you keep placing that same player on the team, he might start failing the missions. And the majority of missions in this game that is accomplished by either side, that side is going to be the winner. So if the spies fail 3 missions out of the 5, or if the Resistance passes 3 missions out of the 5, that team is the winner. Right, pretty much. Yep. There's tons of extra stuff too in the game. I mean, there's bodyguards and reversers and commanders, deep agent, assassins. There's blind spies, blind commanders. I mean, we have all the expansion in this game. They come with little baby boxes, maybe like $10. I think you can pick them up maybe on Amazon. About $10.
I think for the main game and both expansions that come with it,
maybe
it's
like
$40 total.
Yeah, it's a really good cost point for this game, especially if you get at least 5 players to your game group. You want, I think 7 or 8 is like the magic number. You can play with 10, but it gets a little longer.
Yeah.
You know?
We've played a lot with 5 people, and 5 people is a quick game, and it's a good... I wouldn't call it a filler game because it can go for a long time.
And you always want to play more than once. So
yeah.
We never play just one game. And these cards here, you know, after every mission is completed or failed, as long as the mission isn't declined, you get one of these new cards. And some of them let you see another player's card, or stops the player, or makes the player like present their approve or reject earlier.
Basically,
these guys here,
those cards are extra information to try to figure out.
You can play with or without them. Yeah, you can play with or without them. I think they're good with. I think I wouldn't play the game without it unless it was 5 players.
Well, we played without them originally,
yeah.
but there's just it adds another layer of depth to the game.
Definitely, yeah, I agree. And yeah, this little board here is kind of nice because it shows you the tracking the votes, and if all 5 votes go through where the mission doesn't even progress, the bad guys instantly win. And then for each mission, it shows how many players are going to be on the mission. So for a 5-player game, it's 2-3, 2-3-3. So the first mission is 2 players, second mission is 3 players, so on and so forth. And then it shows, you can win.
Win-loss, win-loss.
And bam, that would mean the good guys won, or that would mean the bad guys won. Or, it would be as dumb as that, where it's just bad guys win all 3 times. But yeah, that's pretty much what the game is about. A lot of good cards. There's probably about twice as many cards in this set as you would normally get in the base game. But even spend an extra $20 for the expansions. Expansions worth it?
The expansions are definitely worth it.
Yeah, I would agree as well. There's a lot more nuances involved with the expansions, which maybe we'll explain in a later video. But altogether, an excellent game. Probably in my top 10. Definitely in my top 10 for a trader game. Maybe even my top 5 for a trader game. I really enjoy this game. Very fun game. So, the Resistance and the Resistance Avalon, which is... This game is really in these deck of cards, if you get the expansions.
Yeah,
so you don't even need to buy this game. But if you just like the medieval theme, you can go for Avalon. It's basically like a Arthur King Camelot kind of style, right?
Yep. Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah, which is cool. I've played that game. We actually got that game after this one, and this never hit the table because we didn't realize it was so similar to this game. In fact, almost exactly the same, minus the theming, which was kind of the problem with some games. Like Don't Mess with Cthulhu. It's basically the same thing as that Time Bomb game. Just couldn't do it. The Resistance, your number 3.
Number 3, yep.
All right. What is your number 2?
My number 2 is by Fantasy Flight, and that would be heavy, first of all, and that would be Cosmic Encounter. And this game, well, it's huge. There's a lot to it.
Go ahead and give the basic rundown. First of all, yes, Fantasy Flight, and what? Is it 2, 3 players to start with? Something like that?
I think you can play with 2.
You can go all the way up to 8, though, if you get all the expansions.
I don't think I've ever played it with less than 4.
Yeah, I think 5 or 4. 5 would probably be the magic number.
5's usually what we try to play it with.
Yeah, there's tons of components. But what is this game, basically?
You're in species of alien and you're trying to expand your territory. There's... The big thing about this game, and one of its key components, is there is this giant stack of alien cards. I think we have over 120, and we don't have all of the expansions for it.
We have 1 expansion for it.
Yeah, and
that's how many. We have this many character cards for just 1 expansion.
And each of the different races has a completely different power to it. You don't have to play with the powers, but there is no reason not to.
Definitely.
And you have a hand of cards, and you're playing a bluffing game. If you put down, you and your person you're attacking, because you have to attack somebody, will both put down a card. There are 3 types of cards in the games, or 3 types of cards you can put down in this scenario, and that would be a attack card, a neutral card, or basically a wild card. And
there's not very many wild cards.
There's not very many of the wild cards. Put it face down, and if you say you're putting down the neutral card, it's a negotiate, and if your opponent also puts down a negotiate, you guys can work out a deal. The deal can basically be anything that within a... No, I don't think there's very many restrictions at all.
I think we made a house rule where you can't ask for all the planets. You can only ask for 1 planet in a negotiation. You can't be like, I'll steal 4 of yours and you steal 4 of mine, and we'll win the game together instantaneously in the first round. Not so much, but...
That's a house rule, though, technically.
I don't even know if that's... Maybe that might be in the game. I don't know. I didn't see that, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, you basically place 2 cards down. You know, somebody will play a 4 maybe, and somebody will play a 40, and the person who plays the 40 beats the other person. So if purple goes ahead and plays the 40, and the orange plays the 4, purple will win, destroy all of orange's ships. Orange's ships will go into the wake, and purple ships will go onto orange's planets. And you get about 4 or 5 planets per character, per player. As you go throughout the game, you'll lose planets, you'll gain planets, and as you gain planets, you'll go through this little track here. You can go all the way to 5, and once you get to that 5th planet, with or without somebody else, or everybody else, whoever makes it to that 5th territory wins. In fact, you can have everybody win the game except for one person. I'm not saying that a group did that to me once or anything, but it has happened, I'm sure, where people have been like, let's all team up together against the Unfiltered Gamer here, and take him out, and we'll all win together, which is extremely fun for the player that happens to. And yeah. Good game though, nonetheless. And there's tons and tons of stuff in this game. And with all the expansions you get in this game, you can get special weapons, more characters, more players per expansion, newer cards, tons and tons of stuff. Basically a bluffing card game with a little bit of area control. Oh man, it hits all the right spots, I feel. I really agree that this game is so excellent. If you don't have this game and you got even a slightly interested, like a gamer group, like I wouldn't say a family game. I wouldn't go as far as saying a party game or anything like that. It's not something I would bring to a gathering or an event. But I would say if you got 4 friends that all like to play just games in general, this is solid. And it kind of hits the right spot for even like newer players, because you can use the green cards for people that are not as good at the game. Yellow for the people who are more moderate, and red for the people who are excellent, like
they color code the aliens on how difficult they are to play.
And they're still fair. You can play the red and the green. It's not going to be like the green person is getting overpowered. It's just a little easier for them to understand the game, which is nice to teach.
Yeah, as opposed to power levels, it's more the complication on the card. It's how complicated the card is, as opposed to how strong it is.
It's always fun. You get that whole hand of cards, and you're deciding what card do I play, and what do I tell this person. If I play a neutral, and I tell them I play a neutral, then hopefully they're going to play neutral as well. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll beat me. But if we both play neutral, we can do this or that. Or perhaps I'm going to tell them I'm playing an attack card, play a neutral, let them kill me, and get cards for it. There's a whole bunch of different little rules that we're not going to get into. But the base game is simply awesome. Tons of fun stuff in the game. Tons of additional things you can add throughout the game, making it that much more unique and have that much more variance. So yeah, a really good game. Any other comments on this game? Any expansions that are necessary?
I don't necessarily think the expansions are needed to play the game.
I agree.
They don't hurt it at all.
8 players. What do you think?
I don't think I've ever played with 8. I think the most I played with was 6.
I played with 8. Let me tell you what. With 8 players, this game is over before you get a second turn most of the time. And while that is extremely irritating, it doesn't necessarily hurt the game. It just goes a lot faster because people make deals real quick and do what they're gonna do. And with 8 players, because the game only lasts maybe 10 turns.
10 turns is a long game for this one.
It can be. It just depends.
Well, okay, individual player turns? Yeah, 10 sounds about right.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely a good game. Cosmic Encounter by Fantasy Flight.
My number 2.
Alright. Do tell us your number 1 most favorited game of all time for now.
Well, for now and for the foreseeable future, my favorite game is going to be Magic the Gathering. It's kind of a cop-out as it's not a board game, it's a collectible card game, but it's a game I've played for 20 years. I played this since before I was a teenager. I've played every type of Magic the Gathering conceivable. Basically,
without going into the rules, the game is obviously a CCG. You're collecting cards. These cards have strengths and weaknesses, and you're fighting against your opponent, who is a summoner, who has a certain health point. So maybe he has 20 health and I have 20 health. I am attempting to kill him with either my spells or my creatures. And to do so, you need to spend money in order to bring these creatures and spells into play. Play being the board area. Spells are actually mana. Mana is a type of like land currency. They look like forests or mountains or plains or islands. Most of you probably know what this game is about, so I'm not going to go into the extreme details of the game. But it's been around forever. This game has been around since before...
Since 1995.
Yeah,
Or no, it's actually...
before I started playing games, for
I'm
sure.
sorry, before 1995. It was 93 when it actually came out. 95 is kind of when it started getting popular.
Yeah. We specifically would like to play Commander, though. I think he likes to play Standard. Standard is more of the newer cards and more tournament play, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
generally, we've been playing a lot of Commander. Commander is you have to choose 100 cards. They're all unique individual cards, except for the currency, the land cards. And then you get a Commander who is like your main creature who you can bring back into the field multiple times. Everybody has 40 health. You swing at each other. You attack each other.
It's usually a large player format, with at least 3 being like the small games. And anywhere up to... I've played a 10-person game recently.
You can play tournaments, too, one-on-one.
You can play one-on-one, but it's mostly a friendly format.
It's a casual format, for sure. It's the only kind of format I can play now because I just don't have enough time. I've got too much stuff going on and too many other games to play where I just cannot devote all of my time to this. I used to devote a lot of time to this game. He still devotes quite a bit of time. A lot of the cards range in price, so this game is very, very expensive. Some cards are anywhere up to $2,000 or $3,000 or more, and even for the newer cards, there can be $200-$300 cards. So sometimes you might need to make a deck, and that deck's going to run you anywhere from like $800 to $900. Not always. Generally, the decks are going to be about $100.
Okay.
And you can get the starter packs for like $20 or $30. But if you want to have a tournament-ready deck to play, generally they're pretty expensive.
Tournament-ready decks usually run $300 to $400 if you want to go price-wise. But I have fun even playing with 2 of the starter decks against each other. That's how much I enjoy this game. If you go into the store and buy 2 starter decks, most of them are roughly similar in power, and it's a great way to learn how to play the game, and it's still fun.
Yeah.
I have friends who hated this game for years, and just on the principle on it, having never played, and I talked them into playing a game with me with one of the starter decks, and they absolutely enjoyed the experience.
I would never play a game with a starter deck again. If you're a newer player, do it, go ahead. But as you progress through the game, do not... I mean, I'm sorry, Tom. I love you and everything. You're a wonderful human being when it comes to board game reviews. But every time you make a video and you say, I got a new starter deck, I just imagine you with like 50 of the starter decks, playing over and over again these starter decks. The fun in this game for me is the variety of cards you can choose from, and the collecting and the selling. You can make some money on this game if you're smart about it too. There's tons of ways to make money. I mean, that card right there is like $60, and I didn't spend a dime on it because I learned how to trade. And if you can learn how to trade in this game, you can make bank. And the variety of cards and decks you can put together and like craft. That's why I can't play anymore, because I'll spend too much time doing it. You spend days and days making decks and crafting and going on Puka Trade. There's a whole society of Magic. Magic is its own entity. It's not even in the board game community, really. Yes, it's on Board Game Geek. Yes, it's in the top 100 games. I believe so. And
I think it was like 57 or something,
it's something like
that.
But yeah, but it's really its own beast. It is the champion of all collectible card games. Nothing even stands close to Magic. Pokemon tried, Yu-Gi-Oh tried. They're still...
They still exist.
They still are around, and they're still not bad games. I think they're fun games. And I won't play those games either because they have that same similar strategy of building, and you have to keep getting the newer cards and all that kind of stuff. But the game itself, the collecting, the trading, and the formatting new decks, wonderful. Starter decks, if you're a newer player, go ahead. But after about 2 months of buying starter decks, please make your own decks and craft them. Start getting folders for your rares. If you're going to get into it, go ahead. If you're down to just buy a couple starter decks and play on the occasion, it's still an amazing experience, I agree. I think it's Wonderful. Go ahead, buy that starter deck, and then a year later buy another one, I guess. It's just, you're missing out on so much more fun.
Magic the Gathering really is its own self-contained hobby.
Everybody's going to play different. Everybody's got their own differences, so I'm not going to harp on anybody, I shouldn't say, but I just feel like you're missing out on this game when you limit yourself to just buying certain things or just getting the basic stuff or just buying a pack or two once in a while. I would even suggest never buying packs. I wouldn't do it. Don't buy those fat packs for $40.
They're a gamble.
Yeah, if you want to gamble, I'm just not into gambling. But yeah, Magic the Gathering, we can go on forever with this game, trust me. A very fun, a very interesting and unique game.
And my favorite game of all time.
It would have been my favorite game of all time a couple years ago, for sure. Oh, man, for sure. But now, I don't think it'd be on my top 10. Although I love it, and I think this is a wonderful game, especially if you love CCGs. If you haven't tried it, why haven't you tried it? But, yeah, that's your top 5 games?
Yep, those are my top 5 games.
So, that has been an unfiltered top 5 review from my buddy John here. I appreciate you coming on and explaining to us why these games are so wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
This is unfilteredgamer.com, and we appreciate you stopping by. There is a giveaway on our website in the giveaway section. If you go to unfilteredgamer.com, click the giveaway tab. I think there's 1 or 2 days left. By the time you see this, it might not be there anymore. Heaven forbid I'm not able to edit this video tomorrow. I also recommend you check out everythingboardgames.com. It is a great giveaway site with tons and tons of board game giveaways. I think they have like 6 up right now. Everythingboardgames.com. You can see them on Twitter at ETBoardGames. And I would also recommend you checking out the Giveaway Geek, another huge list of board game giveaways. I personally will do one or two a month, depending on who wants to come on board with me. So I suggest you check my website out in the next couple days after this video is released, and there should be a new one. After I get 100 YouTube subscribers, I'm going to have a really big giveaway with the game's Really Bad Art, Robot Turtles, and Machikoro with the Millionaire's Row expansion. All of those games in one giveaway for one person. I might even throw in some extra stuff along the way, swag, whatever. So thank you guys once again, and keep on gaming. Keep on. What's a good slogan to end this on?
I don't know.
Catch you later on the flip side. No, did I get sued for that? No. All right, guys. See you later.